Just for those of you that weren't here yesterday, the characters John Smith and King Lear that Florian refers to is an analogy I use, where an actor called John Smith plays the role of King Lear. So now we've changed the characters. King Lear is now Florian, and John Smith is, what should we say, the essential Florian, Florian's essential self. So you suggest that when you're playing the character of Florian, Florian is reinforced.
Yes, but also in the same time it seems that Florian has a role to play in the recognition of the essential self. Have something or a lot to do to...
Yes, okay. Well, it's true. You mean Florian has a role to play specifically in the recognition of the...
Yes, because he attends to retreats, go to Peru,
yes,
go to a lot of...
Okay. It's true that as long as Florian takes himself to be a separate self, he has a role to play in the recognition of his true nature. Do you mind if I revert to John Smith and King Lear, because it's so much easier. I have two different names for... So, from King Lear's point of view, from Florian's point of view, I'll try with Florian. I can see you don't like King Lear. So, as long as Florian feels I am a separate self, then he has a role to play in the recognition of his true nature, and he should do everything within his power to recognize his true nature, because if he doesn't, he will continue to suffer. So Florian comes to meetings like this, Florian reads books, Florian watches YouTube clips, Florian ponders his experience, contemplates his experience. And as he does so, Florian's mind traces its way back to what is essential. Florian discovers that no thought is essential to him, because all his thoughts are continually leaving. They cannot be what is essential to him. No feelings, even his most intimate feelings, are not essential to him, because they are not always present in his experience, but he is always present in his experience. So in this way, Florian's mind traces its way back away from its objective content towards that which is essential or irreducible. And eventually he comes, Florian's mind, comes to this recognition. The only element of my experience that is essential and never changes and never disappears is the experience of simply being aware, or pure knowing, or pure consciousness. Having recognized that, he then looks outwards again in the other direction, having traced his way back to the recognition, I am pure consciousness. He then looks back again at the character Florian. What is there? Who is Florian? And he sees that Florian never actually exists as a separate self in its own right. Florian is simply a modulation or a coloring of his essential nature of pure consciousness, in just the same way that King Lear never exists in his own right. He is just a temporary modulation of the actor, John Smith. So if King Lear never really exists as a person, or if Florian never really exists as a separate, independent person, what legitimacy is there to the belief that Florian investigated his true nature? Florian undertook certain practices. Florian did this, that, or the other in order to recognize his true nature. When, having recognized his true nature, he realizes, but Florian never really existed in the way that I thought he did. So from this point of view, we can now say Florian did nothing, or not. We can't even say Florian did nothing. There is no Florian, either to do something or not to do something. The one that truly is consciousness. And Florian is just a temporary and imaginary limitation of that consciousness. But consciousness is the only entity, and it is of course not an entity, that is present. So the question then as to what Florian should or shouldn't or can or can't do is really moot. However, it is only legitimate to say that once we have genuinely recognized I am pure consciousness. And we shouldn't make the claim there's nobody here and there's nothing to do prematurely. If we do, we simply reinforce our sense of separation by adding a veneer of non-duality to our dualistic experience. So until this clear recognition has taken place, I would recommend that Florian or King Lear or whoever explores their true nature and does whatever is necessary to make this discovery. I am inherently peaceful consciousness. It is then possible for what you truly are to assume again the role of Florian and to play the part of Florian in your life. But you no longer allow yourself to be defined or limited by the roles you play. You can play whatever role you find yourself in, a husband, a father, a son, a teacher, whatever role you find yourself playing, but you never feel that you are defined by the role you play, and you never lose yourself in that role.